Okay. Oh, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things and working. We're going to talk a little bit about my NFL predictions for the 2024 season. NFL! Football is back. Now, calm down. I rarely ever talk about any sports on this channel, but the NFL season is starting this weekend, and so I'm going to do a video where I have my predictions and or wishful thinking for this NFL season. We probably won't talk much about the NFL or the Seahawks, my team, throughout the entire season, but then at the end, after the Super Bowl, we will check whether or not my NFL predictions were correct. So I think you can handle one episode, all right? After that, we will get to your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag #AskStuffandThings. I had another topic for this week. It's a really good rant, actually, that I think you're going to enjoy, but you're going to have to stay tuned for next week. My voice is cracking like crazy because I just figured there wasn't enough room in this episode. It's going to be about strangers behaving badly, acting like creeps. Some weird situations that have occurred in the past few weeks to me. So stay tuned for that next week, but let's get into all this. All right, so what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things and working? Well, this coming week on Wednesday, we have a video in the How to Do Stuff and Things series. This video will be about cleaning and conditioning dirty, filthy leather work boots. Specifically, my Nix Urban Loggers that I have been wearing for a good year now in my construction job. I pour concrete for a living, and they get roughed up, they get battered, they get dirty. We are going into the rainy season now, and so this is when I would oil my boots or condition my boots to prep them for the wet weather ahead. And they're pretty damn dirty, so this is a good video about, I've done stuff about conditioning my cowboy boots in the past, but those don't really get dirty. It's a kind of a different process and a different objective. So this is for if you have leather work boots, nice traditional leather work boots, and you want to see how I clean and condition those. The week after that, I am not going to like Seattle Pipe Club Hogshead Bourbon Barrel Aged. Hold on. That one right there. Am I going to like this? Will we be surprised? You will have to tune in for that episode coming up next week. The week after that is kind of a weird one. A rare video games related episode on the main Stuff and Things channel. Obviously, I used to have Stuff and Things Plays where I did gameplay videos, but I never really talked about hardware much on there. And recently I dug out my old Nintendo DS Lite. This cute little guy. And I have not really been playing video games at all lately. For some reason, I don't know what's going on. I just haven't felt like it. Haven't felt like sitting down on my couch. Haven't felt like sitting in front of my computer and playing video games. But I found this little guy, this little Nintendo DS Lite from like, I don't know, almost 20 years ago now. When did these come out? 2006, 2007, something like that. And I've really enjoyed playing on this. I've been playing mostly Metroid Zero Mission, a 2D Metroid game. And it's just been really fun. So we're doing a video about that. This channel is about things that I've been interested in lately, and that's one of those things. And then working, we have a problem. I recorded an episode, and I went to edit the footage, and the footage did not exist. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. With the SD cards on my GoPro are little tiny micro SD cards. And I always feel as though they should fail all the time, but they never have, but this one did. I had no footage for my working episode, so I'm assuming we're just gonna have to wait 1 week because I haven't recorded anything to edit right now. I thought I had that recorded, so I don't know, we're gonna be pouring a big garage slab out in the sticks this coming week, so maybe I'll be able to get that, and maybe I'll be able to get it edited in time for this Friday, because it was supposed to post this coming Friday. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it ready for that. because that'll just be too quick, but maybe the next week. So don't worry, Working will still be posting, but we might have a week delay. But please, if you haven't already, go check out the Working channel. Link, as always, in the description box below. Subscribe, like, share, watch, all that good stuff. God knows I don't ask you for much. So please, check out Working. Oh, and check out my photography-centered Instagram channel. Not channel, page, whatever it's called, at Bradley A. Victor. Again, link in the description. This is something I am pursuing with a lot of seriousness. Artistic street photography. So I'd love it if you guys would check that out as well. Oh, okay. Back to the show. Now, as you may or may not know, if you're paying any attention to this at all, the NFL season is starting this weekend. As of the recording of this video, there have been 2 games. The season opener with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, and then there was the weird Friday night game in Brazil? Yeah, Sao Paulo, Brazil, with the Packers versus the Eagles. The Seahawks have not played yet as of the recording of this video, and everyone's putting out their predictions for what is going to happen this year in the NFL. And as per usual, I'm always... Do I care that much? Not really. I was going to say I'm always annoyed, but I'm not really annoyed because I don't really care. I'm always slightly surprised by how everyone seems to kind of go lockstep in their predictions for what's going to happen in the NFL season. It always seems to be based on, obviously I'm generalizing like crazy here, but a quarterback has a good year. CJ Straub, he has a good year in his rookie year, and now everyone has punched his ticket for the Hall of Fame. He is going to be one of the best quarterbacks that ever lived. How many times has this happened where someone comes out, they flash pretty well their first season or their first couple seasons, and then they just kind of fall away and they don't really become what you thought they were going to become? This happens all the time. People seem to forget that every single time, and everyone thinks the Texans are going to win the AFC South, or a lot of people are picking them for the Super Bowl. They think CJ Stroud is going to be this Hall of Fame quarterback. It just seems like people get way too enthusiastic about things that happen in the NFL. So I feel like my job, as someone who has really no knowledge about the NFL other than just as a fan, who has no ability to really analyze game footage, has no real context for the history or anything about the long tradition of the NFL, to make my predictions based on nothing more than maybe intuition or wishful thinking. A lot of these will be negatives, things that I don't think will happen in the 2024 NFL season. I've written them down. Now remember, gang, I know some of you don't care about the NFL at all. It's the only sport I follow to any extent whatsoever. I rarely mention it at all. I rarely mention sports at all. But you have to put up with one episode where I talk about the NFL, then maybe a couple throughout the year, depending on how the Seahawks do. But then at the end of the season, we will check back in on the predictions that I have made today and see if any of them are correct. I don't know how my chances are, but here we go. First prediction for the 2024 NFL season. The Chiefs will not make it back to the Super Bowl. This is definitely wishful thinking just because I do not like the Chiefs at all. I have never liked the Chiefs. Ever since Patrick Mahomes came, I didn't really pay much attention to them before because they weren't really worth paying attention to. But there's just something about Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy. I think it's just because you get force-fed all this information about Patrick and Brittany Mahomes, and then Jason Kelce or Travis Kelce and I can't remember her name. She's the most famous person in the world, first famous woman in the world. I've never listened to a single one of her songs. Taylor Swift. You get that shoved in your face all the time. I know that's not their fault, but I'm just so sick of hearing about the Chiefs. I'm so sick of hearing about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I don't find them fun or exciting. There's nothing particularly interesting about them being the winners. When the Patriots were good all the time, in spite of the fact we had that horrible loss to the Patriots in the season where the Seahawks were trying to repeat, the Patriots were still fun to hate to a certain extent. They were kind of like the Empire in the Star Wars movies. You had the Emperor as Bill Belichick and then Darth Vader as, or Tom Brady as Darth Vader, and they're kind of fun to hate. The Chiefs aren't fun to hate. They're not fun to like. They're just not fun at all. I'm sick of them. I don't want them to make the play. I don't want them to make the Super Bowl. Wishful thinking, they will not make the Super Bowl. But who will in the AFC? Prediction number 2, the Bengals will make it to the Super Bowl for the AFC. I want them or the Bills. I've been saying this for years now because I think it would just be fun to have someone other than the Chiefs from the AFC. And the Bengals and the Bills, their fans have been waiting forever for them to get to the Super Bowl. I like Burrow. I like Josh Allen. I would love an entire season where Burrow stays healthy. And if he does stay healthy, I think there's a very good chance that the Bengals will make it to the Super Bowl for the AFC. So that's my prediction. Number 3, another negative. The Jets will not be amazing this year. Again, everyone just seems to think, oh, Aaron Rodgers is back. He's going to be healthy. Coming back from a very serious injury for someone who is in his 40s. He's going to be great. The Jets are going to be great. They're set up for success. I don't think so. First of all, Aaron Rodgers was not an amazing quarterback in 2022, the last full season that he played. He already seemed to be declining quite a bit. Robert Saleh, I don't know if he's really that great of a coach. What has his record been, his cumulative record since he started with the Jets? It's sub 500, like way sub 500, I think. I just don't think they're going to be amazing. I think Aaron Rodgers will be okay if he doesn't get injured. He's not going to be anywhere near what he was, I don't know, when he last won the MVP. He's going to be fine, probably, but he's not going to be amazing. The Jets are not going to be amazing. They'll probably hover around 500. They may not even make the playoffs. In fact, well, no, I won't make that as a prediction, but I just don't think the Jets will be amazing. Okay, another negative, and we talked about this a little bit when I was mentioning CJ Stroud. The Texans will not win the AFC South. So many people have the Texans slotted in as the winners of the AFC South and even Super Bowl contenders. CJ Stroud had a great rookie year. It's one season. It's a small sample size. NFL defenses and defensive coordinators have a way of learning a quarterback. And if you can't adapt to that, you may find that you are stymied in your second season. I think CJ Stroud will be fine. I think he'll be a good quarterback in the NFL. But I don't think we can just pencil him in as this obvious Hall of Famer who is going to be, I don't know, at the same level as someone like Patrick Mahomes or something. So I don't think the Texans will win the AFC South. I think, next prediction, the Jaguars will win the AFC South. Interestingly, the Jaguars were doing quite well last year until Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and they sort of fell off a cliff after that, but he was playing hurt through a large portion of the end of the season. They were doing great. And I think that if Trevor Lawrence actually stays healthy, again, this is a huge caveat, that they have a really good chance of winning the AFC South. Now, you may notice that many of my picks are just me being, I guess, sort of contradictory. Maybe it seems like for the sake of being contradictory, but when everyone is jumping on a bandwagon, I do tend to sort of react in the opposite direction. So most people are not saying the Jags will win the South. Most people are picking the Texans. I'm picking the Jags. I was going to have a prediction about the Packers, again, not being great, because everyone, again, was like, hey, Jordan Love is going to be amazing. But Jordan Love has been injured. We don't know what happened yet. As of the recording of this video, he hasn't had an MRI or anything. So I'm hoping he's still, there for the Packers. I don't wish injuries on anybody. So I'm not going to make any predictions about the Packers or Jordan Love. Neither him nor Hurts looked amazing in that game. Hurts is the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think both of them had like around a 50% completion rate. There were some messy plays, some interceptions. Obviously, people are saying that the turf in Sao Paulo and that soccer field had a lot to do with it. But yeah, they both just look kind of meh. Obviously, this is the first game. Hardly any starters ever play now in the preseason. And so the first month of football is kind of still the preseason, so you can't draw too much from it. But interesting. Now for some positives. You may have noticed I haven't mentioned the Seahawks yet in any of these predictions. The Seahawks have a brand new coach in Mike Macdonald, the former defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. Pete Carroll was amazing. He had a great run with the Seahawks. I will always be appreciative of him, but I do think it was time to get some fresh blood in there and to shake things up a little bit. I don't know that Mike Macdonald has all the personnel that he would want to create the kind of defense he wants, but we're going to have an amazing secondary, great corners. I think maybe defensive tackle might be the weak point, but I think we're going to have a pretty good defense, and I think the offense is going to be really good. I think a lot of people are predicting the Seahawks to have a sub 500 record this year. I am predicting the Seahawks will make the playoffs. Not only will the Seahawks make the playoffs, they will be the NFC West champions. Now that's saying a lot in a division that has the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. But I think both of them are going to fall back to the pack a little bit. The Seattle Seahawks will win the NFC West. They will not make it out of the divisional round of the playoffs, though. They're not going to the NFC Championship game. It's not quite ready for them yet, and I still think we need... Geno Smith is good, but we need a long-term franchise quarterback. Hopefully, we're never going to get it through the draft, though, because the Seahawks are going to continue to be pretty good. They're never going to go like 1-16 or something. So, I don't know. We'll have to maybe find somebody in the second and third round, find a young, nice prospect. And because Geno Smith, great, but I don't think he has much longevity. And then my last prediction, who will be playing in the Super Bowl? This isn't super unique. Again, this is kind of wishful thinking, but I would love for the Lions versus the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Just two teams who really have waited a very long time for something like that to happen. So there you go. Those are my 2024 NFL season predictions. I would love to hear some of yours in the comments below. And like I said, don't worry, we're not going to be talking football all the time, but at the end of the season, once the Super Bowl has been played out, we will come back to these predictions, and I'll see how many of them were correct. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings, remember. If you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings. You can also write to me via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. You can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. Just like @BriarScholar did, or Scholar. I don't know if you listened to Britpop in your mod revival days, but any thoughts on Oasis reuniting? A lot of people have been asking me about Oasis. A lot of people are really excited about Oasis reuniting. I tend to think that usually if a band broke up when they were young and then gets back together when they are old, they will not be very good when they get back together. That's pretty much always the case. They may still be able to go out there and putter around and play some of their hits. It might be enough to placate or amuse the people who were once their big fans. A good example was when the Stone Roses reunited. They were okay. They weren't as good as they were in the past. They were okay. And I would definitely not want to hear any new material from Oasis because they haven't been good, in my opinion, since their first couple of albums. I liked Oasis okay back in the day. I'm old enough to remember Britpop in the early 90s when, you know, it was the first time around. I liked Blur. I liked Oasis okay, but I think I preferred Blur. I thought, you know, I have memories of being in a party, drinking beer, and like in a circle of a bunch of friends, belting out Oasis songs as loud as possible. Yes. But when you really look at Oasis, they're not, they're good at writing, you know, kind of anthemic, sort of dumb songs. I'm not trying to be elitist or a weirdo here, but I don't love the lyrical content. I like them. I think they're funny. I like the Gallaghers, but I just don't think Oasis is like super high art. I think a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for them. I think they're okay. Hopefully that doesn't give me a lot of hate. But I don't think usually when a band is old and they reunite, it's usually not great. Okay, now we have some feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. This is from @ChrisCoffee. I now S about 5 or 6 times a week. So I was talking about how rarely I S my P now, or not rarely, but how much fewer P's I S throughout the week ever since I moved. I now S about 5 or 6 times a week at my local Irish pub, where they let me S indoors. But I've also started S-ing 2 B's each time. I don't know why I said B's, bowls each time. So that has dramatically increased the amount of T's I am S-ing. So I guess that's 12 or 10 to 12 times a week. All right, that's cool that you have a nice place like that, an indoor pub where you're allowed to S your P. Very cool. At Fretterator4951, I tried having one every morning. It just seems less satisfying being part of a routine. I've gone back to a merit system. I can have a bowl when I deserve it. What means that what makes it, what do you have to do to deserve a bowl? Curious. You showered. Look, I showered today. That means I get a bowl. At the New Media of the Dawn, I lived in Vancouver, BC for 3 years, 97 to 2000. So I understand that horrible weather well. Jokes. Okay. Yes, every place has its pros and cons. People say the north is cold, but yes, southern summers must be miserable hot indeed. Cool crab video. Such abundance of future generations there. I est max 2 bowls a day in 2018, now 2 to 4 a week tops, but enjoy them just as much. Cheers. Thank you very much for writing in. I don't think of the weather in the Pacific Northwest as horrible. Yes, it rains a lot, but I love the climate here. But I understand what you're saying. And then, yeah, the crabs. As far as I know, there is no issue with Dungeness crabs being overfished in the Pacific Northwest. And if the juveniles that I see are any indication, it does seem as though they are plentiful, but I don't know. I'm not sure. It seems like they're doing okay. Next, at Groove and Piper, 6 to 8 P's a week. It's an after work thing for me. Some weekends I might have 2 to 3 in a day, but that is pretty rare. Another excellent vid, buddy. Been loving the working channel and the photography stuff as well. Thank you very much. I really appreciate people supporting those other endeavors. Next, we have at Zigmeister67, 2 bowls a night for me. Usually a bowl of Old Joe Krantz and Royal Yacht. I change out Old Joe with Quiet Nights, Windjammer, and Haunted Bookshop. And then finally, at Bill Wright ABC, working remotely, I have my pipes and tea right next to me, and I generally S my P's with a modest bowl size, say 50 cubic inches. 0.5 cubic inches. That does not sound like a modest bowl size. To 1 cubic inch, depending on what I'm working on. I'll S between 4 and 6 bowls a day. However, I may light a bowl, puff for a bit, put the pipe down, then not pick it up for an hour. So there is that. Thank you everyone who wrote in with their experiences. It's always interesting to hear what everyone else out there is doing. How are we doing on battery? Not bad. Okay. We don't have a ton of feedback from the Sutliff the Old Boss video review because so few people had actually tried it, apparently. A lot of people were just writing in saying like, I haven't had this. I haven't seen many reviews of this. So I will read to you what we got. We got a super thanks from our good friend at David Severin. Thank you so much for that super thanks. And they say simply, thanks. Well, thank you too. We have Orochi001. I've seen 0 discussion in the wild of either this or Silver Quarter. Glad to hear it's good for those who are interested. Yeah, and I didn't really find anything either. It's interesting. At KBax3137, thank you for your review on Old Boss. I really enjoy this blend. It's in my top 5 English blends with Nightcap and Artisan's blend. I have est 3/4 of my tin and have noticed it is hard to keep it lit. Like the Nightclap comment. Haha. Interesting that you think of it as your very favorite. That kind of sucks though, because if it's limited, you're not gonna be able to find it again. But it sounds like there are plenty of tins for now out there. Maybe this one just didn't hit with a lot of people, I'm not sure. And then finally we have at Night Train Piper, herons are cool. And yes, there were some cool herons out there when I was filming that video. Gang, thank you for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. But now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It helps pay for the fancy camera that is filming this video right now, the lights that are shining upon me, equipment, things for review. Basically, it makes it possible for me to make these videos. There is very little income generated on a platform like YouTube for me, and so having amazing people out there like you who support the channels on Patreon have made it possible for me to continue making content like this that hopefully you enjoy. So if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, as I mentioned, link in the description box below. But every week we shout out those who are more like producers, people who are really supporting the channels on Patreon and who deserve a special shout out. People like our 25 and up supporters, Glenn Dunnington, Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, Jonathon Proctor, ConCoClem, Charles Mowers, and Friendly Piper. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month, people like Bob Magee and Ryan McFadin. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, stay tuned for much. I need to cross something out here. Gang, stay tuned for so many good things coming up. Our How to Do Stuff and Things Clean and Condition Dirty Leather Work Boots video, our I'm Not Going to Like SPC Hogshead Bourbon Barrel Aged, our fun little video on the Nintendo DS Lite that I've really been enjoying lately. So many other good things coming up. Somebody was going to be sending me a pipe. I need to look into that. I think I answered their email, but I'll look into that again. But there are always just so many things in the queue for Stuff and Things, and good stuff coming up on working. But until next time, until we meet again, I'm your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday. Stuff and Things. Football is back.